I sensed trouble the moment my phone buzzed alive with a wall of missed calls as soon as the plane wheels hit the tarmac. Most were from numbers I didn't recognize, but a handful were from neighbors I barely exchanged pleasantries with. After 2 carefree weeks wandering through Thailand, temples at sunrise, sizzling street food, neon night markets, and beaches so quiet they felt untouched, I had come home lighter, freer than I'd felt in years. The kind of trip that makes you question if you even want to return to normal life. But with every mile closer to home, that post-vacation peace gave way to a gnawing sense of dread. The Uber driver tried to fill the silence with chatter as the manicured streets of Pinarest. Estates slid by, but I couldn't focus. Then, as we turned onto my block, my chest seized. A police cruiser sat idling in my driveway. My first thought was simple. Someone must have broken in. Rare, yes, but not unheard of. Dragging my suitcase behind me, I rushed forward only to stop cold. A family stood on my porch as if they belonged there. A man, a woman, 2 children, smiling, relaxed, even laughing with the officers like they were hosting a cookout. The woman dangled a set of keys in her hand. My keys. "Excuse me," I managed, voice shaking as I approached, pulse hammering in my ears. "What's happening here? This is my house." The cops turned, their posture instantly shifting. One officer narrowed his eyes and stepped toward me. "Sir," he said evenly, "these homeowners called in a suspected break-in." The words scrambled my thoughts. Break-in? No, I just got back from a trip. I live here. Look, here's my passport. My hands shook as I held it out. I've been here 6 years. This is my home. The man on the porch frowned, voice steady but firm. "We bought this house 2 weeks ago, moved in yesterday." "What?" I blinked rapidly, refusing to process the claim. "That's impossible. I never listed my house for sale." But then I caught a glimpse through the window and the air left my lungs. My living room was gone. No bookshelves, no framed photos, no trace of me at all. Just unfamiliar furniture and half-unpacked boxes. One of the officers, a no-nonsense woman with her hand near her holster, stepped in. "Sir, these people have legal paperwork. If you want to challenge ownership, you'll need to do it through the courts. For now, step back." Panic clawed up my throat. "This is insane. I can prove I own this house. Mortgage statements, tax records, photos. Neighbors saw me right before I left. I wasn't even gone that long." But my words slid off blank faces. The children huddled behind their mother. The man gripped his phone like he was about to call for backup. And the officers, calm, detached, looked at me as though I were the trespasser. I couldn't wrap my head around it. My mortgage was on auto pay. My mail held at the post office. Lawn service arranged while I was gone. Everything was normal, except for one thing. A letter. A petty complaint from Karen Wilkinson, the HOA president, about my mailbox color. Charcoal. Gray, she said, wasn't approved slate gray. Karen, always Karen. Mid-50s, perfectly coiffed bob, pastel pantsuits, and that ever-present clipboard clutched like a weapon. She prowled the neighborhood like a general with troops to command. I'd ignored her latest letter, figuring I'd deal with it after vacation. Now, a chill ran through me. Maybe that had been a mistake. As if summoned, a white SUV pulled to the curb. Out stepped Karen herself, clipboard in hand, smirk already carved into her face. "Officers," she called brightly, strolling toward us. "I see the trespasser has returned." I spun on her. "Trespasser? Karen, you know me. I live here." "Not anymore," she said smoothly. This property was declared abandoned. The HOA followed proper procedures to recover unpaid dues. It was foreclosed and sold. My jaw slackened. "That's impossible. I was gone for 2 weeks. My dues are auto-drafted," she tisked, all false sympathy. "We have records of 6 months of unpaid fees and visible property neglect. You'll need to take it up with your attorney." Even the officers seemed uneasy, but their hands were tied. They repeated their stance. This was a civil dispute, not a criminal one. I would have to leave and handle it legally. That night, numb and shaken, I checked into a hotel nearby. By morning, survival instinct had kicked in. I dialed every law office I could find until one finally had an opening. Jessica Ramirez. Sharp suit, sharper eyes, all business. She didn't just listen, she bristled with fury on my behalf. "This isn't just sloppy paperwork," she said, tapping her pen on the desk. "This smells like deliberate fraud. We'll need to move fast before they dig in further." We started building our case piece by piece. My payment records, proof of travel, even texts and emails from neighbors who'd seen me right before I left. Jessica filed a request with the county clerk to pull every document connected to the supposed sale. That's when the lies surfaced. The files claimed I'd abandoned my property, racked up $15,000 in HOA fines, and ignored multiple certified letters. None of it was true. I'd never received a single notice. The inspection reports? Forged. The auction announcement? Fake. And one name kept reappearing in the paperwork. Karen Wilkinson. Jessica kept digging, and what she uncovered chilled me. Mine wasn't an isolated case. 2 other homes in our neighborhood had been sold off under suspicious abandonment claims. One owner was overseas serving in the military, another was caring for a sick parent out of state. Both came back, to strangers living in their houses. "She's targeting people when they're away," I muttered. "This isn't just ego. This is organized." The final piece of the puzzle snapped into place when Jessica traced the so-called quick sales. They all funneled back to the same real estate firm owned by Karen's sister-in-law. A subpoena turned up a smoking gun, an email from Karen flagging my house as a viable asset after she noticed I'd paused my mail and booked an airport ride. Armed with evidence, we marched into the district attorney's office. At first, they brushed it off as a civil issue, but Jessica laid out the bigger picture: multiple victims, falsified documents, a coordinated scheme. "This isn't bad bookkeeping," she told them. "This is systemic real estate fraud." The turning point came when a local news station picked up the story. Suburban corruption, fake foreclosures, and an HOA president gone rogue. The segment aired on Thursday night, and by Friday morning, everything shifted. Neighbors I'd barely spoken to began reaching out. One after another, they shared stories of Karen's harassment: fines for grass an inch too tall, warnings for cars parked a half hour too long, threats over minor decorations. One woman admitted she'd stopped putting up holiday lights altogether after Karen cited her for non-uniform spacing. People hadn't just disliked her, they'd been living in fear. Then the real hammer dropped. A former HOA treasurer came forward with a box of receipts. Actual receipts. Karen had been siphoning funds for years. Spa packages, luxury travel, even cosmetic surgery, all paid for with HOA money. That clipboard she carried around wasn't about community standards. It was a shield for theft. With that evidence, the police secured warrants. They raided both the HOA office and Karen's home. What they found was worse than we imagined: homeowner files, bank details, travel itineraries, and a list titled "High Value, Monitor Closely." My name was on it. The family who'd been living in my house was devastated. They'd been scammed, too. Thankfully, the court voided their purchase, and the HOA's insurance promised reimbursement. I was allowed to move back in, though most of my personal belongings had vanished. Karen's fall from power was almost cinematic. She was mid-HOA meeting, clipboard in hand, denying everything with her trademark smirk, when officers walked in. The room erupted as neighbors pulled out their phones and recorded the moment she was cuffed. "I was protecting property values," she screeched as they led her away. "You should be thanking me." No one thanked her. The DA charged her with fraud, forgery, conspiracy, grand theft, and money laundering. Her real estate allies were indicted as well. In court, the prosecutor laid out the entire scheme in meticulous detail. The judge, unimpressed with her excuses, denied bail and called her a flight risk. That was when Karen finally cracked. Her flawless mask smeared with tears and ruined makeup as she was escorted out in an orange jumpsuit. A far cry from the pastel-clad tyrant who once ruled with a smile and a clipboard. I walked out of the courthouse, drained but triumphant. My home was mine again. My neighbors had their courage back. And Karen Wilkinson? She'd lost the kingdom she built on lies. If this story had you hooked, and you're into real-life drama, shocking neighborhood secrets, and suspenseful twists, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more to come. You won't believe what some people are capable of when power goes unchecked. And hit that bell icon so you'll never miss the next twist.